Welcome everyone on today's Metal3 community meeting. It's 2022, Wednesday, 16th of March, Wednesday. My name is Adam Rosman. I will be your host. And as always, let's start with the introduction. So if you are new to the meeting, then please introduce yourself. But looking through the list of participants, I think everybody is already an experienced member of this meeting, so we can continue. So the first agenda point is from Feruz, and it is related to the sub-owners in the Metal3 docs repository.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me, Adam?
Yes.
Cool. So if I hope everyone remembers, we have started writing user guide for Metal3, and it's all the documentations are going to the Metal3 docs repository. And since Metal3 project, it has multiple GitHub projects like BMO, CapM3, Ironic, IPAM separate, and each having its own reviewers, and then the maintainers. We thought we will replicate the same owners files to the documentation. So yeah, I think Adam is now showing to you the directory, how it looks like if you go to the source file. Adam, please. Yeah, here we have basically BMO, CapM3, IPAM, and Ironic mainly, 4 different directories, each meant for documentation, to store documentation for that specific repo. Each has its own owners, so we thought that people who are, for example, maintainers in CapM3 can have the same rights to approve an LGTM documentations related to CapM3. But unfortunately, it didn't work. We missed one thing, that currently people are submitting documentations, and we have one file called summary.md, which is one layer above these repositories, meaning the permissions are not applied to that document. Like, can you open one of the PRs, Adam, related to documentation, for example? Yeah, pivoting, maybe the first one, or yeah. And if we go to files change, please. Yeah, here Adam is modifying the source summary.md, and then he's going to CapM3. So initially, I would expect that CapM3 people would be able to give LGTM and approve, but that's not the case because we have summary.md that everyone who is submitting PR to the user doc will have to modify that. And the owners are
Excuse me, is it
layer.
correct actually? Or is it only for new files, but it will not be the case for any changes later?
Any changes.
I think it's for any changes, not only for the MD files. I'm not sure if we can specify specific files.
So what is a summary MD is doing that you have to change it even if you fix a typo in the file?
It's a structure of the book. So if you are adding, for example, how to build ironic images, then you have to.
I'm not adding a new document. I'm fixing one typo in a document.
If you're fixing, then it's fine. But right now it is not about fixing. It's mostly submitting new documents.
Yes, it's only a bootstrap problem, right?
Correct.
Once we have this, we can have a patch that populates all these files empty. This patch will be approved by somebody who is top level approver, right?
Yep.
And the problem is solved.
Yep. That's also sounds good. That sounds good to me. Or I was also thinking maybe we could have one owner's files, one layer below, and then include all of those people, which is not the ideal. But what you, Dmitry, suggested sounds good to me. And if everyone else is agreeing on that, I can submit the patch to just populate this structure.
Honestly, I'd be okay with having everyone in the owners for the docs directory. And the only thing we really want to lock down is the design directory that just happens to live in the same repo. So
Yep. Design, yeah, correct. Design, since design is in a separate directory, it's gonna be blocked. And
yeah,
even if we have one unified owners, I don't think that it's going to have any effect on the proposals. So it's anyways blocked. That
yeah,
also works.
I think more reviews the better for docs, like for the user guide. Like people are not going to approve stuff they don't understand. So I think, yeah, just I would go ahead with what you're proposing and don't worry too much about it.
Okay. Dimitri, what do you think?
Dimitri might have a different opinion. I don't know. But
I don't mind. It's just as long as we all agree that we're not approving things we don't understand. So if
Yeah.
you, for example, don't understand ironic, you probably wait for, not like you personally, but whoever doesn't understand ironic will wait for somebody from the ironic team to approve change.
Yep. Or we could also configure in a PROW that that if the document is open for a certain directory, for example, for ironic, it would tag people who are maintainers in ironic, but that might like spam with your email with GitHub notifications. So if
there is actually an option in the owners file where you can say that it doesn't accept owners from like higher up the hierarchy. So you could go into all the individual, / ironic things and say like only approvers in this list, not the ones from the docster, and then you would have what you nominally want, which is that anyone can approve changes to the summary, but only specific teams can approve changes to the individual. That's I don't remember the name of that option, but I can look it up for you if you want.
Yep, sure, that would be nice. Thank you.
Yeah, to be clear, I'm totally fine with just trusting people to do a reasonable thing. I hope all the people who have approval rights on a single repo are reasonable people who understand that should not probably approve something they don't understand. That's a basic idea, it's a basic criteria for becoming an approver. I hope you'll satisfy that.
Yeah, and I can, while submitting this PR, I can also just mention that on the pull request if you're going with that way, just to inform all those approvers and reviewers that we don't we don't approve or give LGTM for things that we're not expert on. But let's see.
There's a good aspect of that is that you're fixing a typo in ironic docs. You don't have to wait for any of us because it's
exactly
just a typo.
Yep, exactly. Cool. Thanks a lot, Dmitry and Zane. Zane, if you can share once you find, that would be also nice.
Yeah, I'm looking for it now. I will share it when I in the doc when I find.
Cool.
Okay.
That's all, Adam. We can, I think, move on.
Yeah. Thank you. And the next one is also yours.
Oh yeah. Just update. I also wrote on the Slack, but maybe I'll mention it here too. We're having Metal3 project office hours session virtual, online, not on site, in the upcoming KubeCon. So it's gonna be May 20th, Friday, 10:30 Central European time. The total time is 1 hour, but I think it's gonna be 45 minutes for the whole session and 15 minutes just to set it up with the panelists, like the maintainers will be presenting. I personally won't be able to join, unfortunately, on the day, but for that reason, Kashif has agreed to be the contact person to the CNCF, but otherwise we're all set. We have scheduled, it's just that we are waiting for the final link to join to the session, and that's it. Then usually we were in the previous KubeCon office hours, like project office hours, we were having some basic slides about the project in case if someone asks some questions that we want to show in a visual way, some stack, for example, or some stuff. And perhaps we could reuse the previous one we had. It might be a little bit outdated, and I'm okay to update that. And or if those who will be presenting, if you need permissions to update that slide, please let me know. It is this online slides.com slides where we made it, but otherwise I think it's good. So yep, that's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have like anything to ask or add to the agenda points? Maybe any new agenda points if you arrived late. If not, then we can continue with the triaging. That won't be too long. I have already checked what's there. So on the need triaging option, these two are old ones. These would need additional information, and both ticket is silent. And this one, this is although it needs triaging, the person who reported this also created the fix, and it is one single character, and I think I will accept it like for triage because there is already like the fix pushed into the CAPM tree, and if somebody is familiar with this part, then please check if it's okay to test. But on the triaging side, I think we agree that this is fine. Yes, and then if I go back, these were all the things that would need triaging. The stale things, I checked, those are, I believe, those two that needs more information, so those are not really important. The frozen ones also, just the old ones that we already checked before. This one where we already started the discussion related to this listening on the interfaces, but still that's an old issue, so nothing to do here. And then the last one was the help wanted. So in the help wanted, we had a good progress, I think, with the documentations. So there are still a few, but I've seen that lots of these have been already started, and some of them already have been finished. So thank you for everybody who participated. We have this feature still lying around, this feature request. It's accepted. This is related to this firmware update. If anybody on the bare metal end interested, please take a look. But that didn't like change this one for a long time now. And then a few things here. These four, I will all of them were already checked multiple times, and they were all created by Leonard. So if you are interested in any of these, I commented for all of these issues that contact Leonard or ask on the issue thread. These are all open for grabs. And other than this, actually, we don't have anything that would have like a needs triage label or help label or anything. So we are good on that end. Is there any ticket that somebody, or like any pull request or issue that somebody would like to like draw attention? Is there something that you would like to point out? If not, then some public service announcements. So I think now all the people who are interested in the security received the invite for the security group. And I sorry if you've received emails today related to tests. I was testing the permissions and how we can reply. So on the security email address, group address will be visible. I think both in the, I think it will be in the book. I believe that's the best place for it to put into the book under like a security topic. And everybody who's in that group will be able to receive external mails aimed at that group. But those mails that coming from like the external worlds will be moderated, so you won't just receive spam. The group owners, 4 of us at the moment, will check the emails first and then approve it if it's like relevant and reject it if it's not. You won't be able to answer security emails in the name of the group, in a sense that the email you have to send a response to an external person from your own email address, and I will write a few things into the description of the group, and also into when we will have like a documentation for the security processes. But I think that's not a big problem. I just wanted to like make it clear that we will receive security like security reports, or if somebody had some incident or some non-public CV, we hope that we will receive that there on that group address, and everybody will get it. But you can't answer back on the same address. You have to write it back from your own address. Yes. Other than this, I had a question related to Quay. If somebody is familiar with Quay, and it's a bit of a security topic, but I don't think that there's anything that would be not public, because the vulnerabilities are public CVs and everybody can see it if without even registering to Quay. So if I would go to the ironic in our Metal3 IO project and would go to the settings, we had the request that let's enable this trust, and I believe this is the one that we have to enable for providing signatures for the container images. I haven't found much documentation related to Quay IO. That what happens if I click on enable, because I have found a lot of documentation related to the Quay that can be like self-hosted, but not to Quay IO. Does any of you have experience with this? That what would happen if I would enable it? What does this need in order to generate these signatures?
I have no idea, but the hosted Quay is the same thing that's running on Quay.io, essentially. So any docs you find should be relevant, I would have thought.
Okay. Okay, then I will go through that again. I hope I can find this option there. Okay.
Also, Derek is on the hook as the admin for that, so feel free to make that his problem.
Okay, sure, thanks. Yeah, is there anybody, because I think most of the people who are participating with the images are here, or like a good number of you. How often do you check these QA vulnerabilities, or do you check these at all?
I personally do not. So they are fixed usually when the next time we rebuild a container image, because we do DNF upgrade on our container images, which is by the way kind of anti-pattern, but I don't understand why. Anyway, if we are worried about this being yellow or red, we should probably somehow set up periodic rebuild of images, if it's possible in QA.
Yeah, that was the direction that I also wanted to take this. That it would be nice to have a process where we check these together, or not necessarily like in a interactive way, that like in a meeting, but periodically we would like start like a discussion about these, or I'm not sure what's the good way. I just want to get ahead of this these issues. There is also a possibility that we would not base our security posture on these QA reports, but we would go into the direction that we would scan these in the Metal3 CI pipeline. I'm not sure what is the scanner that QA is using. Maybe we can see.
I think it checks the packages, the RPM packages installed in containers, and see if there are known CVs against them.
Yeah, but what I meant is that when it checks it and matches it, like if it's some open source scanner, then like I can easily find that what are the databases that it's using to match against, like match the CVs against. But I'm just I wasn't just able to find that.
From the website of QA, it looks like it's a Claire. The scanner name.
Okay, I will check it, because actually that like we were just building an image, and it was scanned with Trivi. That's like another commonly used thing, and that kind of showed a bit of a different picture. Like the list of vulnerabilities was different. So, but if it's that clear, then I will look into that. Okay.
I'm not sure what you're trying to achieve, really. I mean, it's good to track this, but we're not in control of anything. So all we can do is periodically rebuild things.
Yeah, that's the only thing. What I mean is that if like something happens, like I don't know, we build it at one point, and then we see the problems. Of course, we have to like change it in the image, like the problem, like fix it, and then we rebuild and push. But that's why I started with asking that is somebody who is actively looking at these and noting it down and start to fix it in the, like for example in the ironic image, or
that's what I'm trying to tell you. There's nothing to fix in the ironic image. There's not a single line of code you can do.
What I meant is not fix in a sense that fix the code, but like update the packages and so on, or is
dependencies.
There is none. There's nothing like that. We have the DNF upgrade in the very beginning. That's it. So if you press a build button right now, you'll get all the recent packages that are published for CentOS stream. if the fix is not there, there's nothing we can do. If the fix is there, you're gonna get it on the next rebuild. That's kind of what I'm trying to point out.
Okay, but this kind of scanners usually works in that way, to get you aware that maybe you are using an older dependency that is flowed by a CVA or something like that. So it's just a way to be aware that maybe we will need to update some dependencies or whatever. In general, I don't think it's a bad idea to get it integrated somehow or make it more visible in the CI pipeline.
Okay, I get it. I get your point. I think, anyways, there's not much to do if because that's true that if I would go to the ironic image, and I assume, because I honestly didn't check that, but I assume the dependencies are not versions. You just put there the package name and you are just installing from the RPM list and so on. So we are always on the newest related to the images. So these are always the newest things. But if nobody's checking it and we are like hoping the best that if there is a if there is a problem, and then the scanner would show that you have like this version of the packages have a CV, then we would just sit and wait until a new comes out, and that maybe fixes it. But if nobody is checking it, what if we have to like step down the version? Like what if we have to go back for an older version for like a period of time, and you know, for that period of time, like let's say like 2 weeks, for example, we would have like a vulnerability in our image. Eventually that would be fixed. There would be a new RPM package, but if we don't have any sort of process in place, and we build quite a lot of these, like just for the Metal3 project, there are a lot of these images. That's what concerns me. Like, let's say like there is a problem, it only exists for 2 weeks, but then for 2 weeks it exists, and this is the source of truth for our whole project, isn't it? Like everybody like whose organization is not building container images in-house would get it from us.
And I understand your point, and it's a fair point, but it's also, the thing you're looking at is a lot of work. It's probably involves getting a dedicated security engineer assigned to Metal3 who follows the CVs and see if it affects us, because most of the things do not affect us, right? We have vulnerable packages, but it doesn't mean that these vulnerabilities can be exposed. So there has to be somebody who will, on a daily basis, check what the CV is actually about. If we are affected, check if there is a fix so we can just rebuild the image. And if we are affected and there's no fix, do this non-trivial work of downgrading an RPM, making sure there is an RPM to downgrade, no other dependencies and so on. So that's a good thing to do. I'm not convinced we, like the current maintainers, actually can even do that. I'm not even that versed in security to even understand. I'm not subscribed to CV databases or just, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the problem with using a large base image like UBI and then like DNF installing a bunch of stuff into it is that we'll drag in all kinds of stuff that a vulnerability scanner can say, yes, you've got this version of that thing and there's a vulnerability in it. And it's going to happen all the time. But like Dimitri said, like very, very few of those are actually like related in any way to what we're doing or exposed in the, in what's actually what we actually run in the container. So yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's almost like there's a difference between an open source project and a product, right? And it feels like that's kind of crossing the line into trying to be a product, which nobody really has the resources upstream to do that.
Yeah, I actually like see it very similarly to what you said, and yes, that was the point that I was trying to make, and I agree with you that this is a huge work, and I don't want to like push it on anybody. I was just wanted to like hear from you that how do you what's your relation to this whole question and to these images. And now it's quite clear, like I think we kind of like established the baseline that at the moment there is no active like tracking of these, like on a daily or weekly basis, and then this is basically because we do not have enough resources to monitor these with that frequency. So should we like present this in our documentation under like our security documentation, that if somebody is interested in our project and would like to use our project, then the images that we are provide are not like production ready in the security sense. Because why I am just going on with this topic is just to if we want to go forward with our projects and like eventually get into incubation and so on, it is not a requirement to have like these perfectly secure images, but it is a requirement to provide a detailed description of our like security posture. And I think it's good to know these things, that what's the state of these images. And what do you think? Should this be like presented, that these are not production ready, or is it something that you think like every developer should know by default, and we should not explicitly state?
So I think we need to be very clear that there is no warranty on anything that we produce in this project, and you know that's very clear in the Apache license. But like, yes, I mean, like,
yeah,
I wouldn't want to say anything specifically about the container images that implies that anything else is. I don't know. I don't like the term production ready, but like, there's no warranty. Period.
Yeah. For a legal standpoint, that's perfectly clear based on the license. What I meant is just the guidance for people, because who knows who would like to check this project, and like I think we can be very like vocal about that. What is the limit?
I'm not convinced we should put "do not use our project" on our project homepage, because what you're saying is that. I also think it's a bit a strong statement, like not for production usage. I mean, imagine you download the Fedora image from the Fedora website. I'm using Ubuntu, whatever. It will come with vulnerabilities because they don't rebuild production, like they don't rebuild released images every day. If you do not run apt update, DNF update, you're gonna have a ton of vulnerabilities months after the image is released. Do they write anywhere that it's not production ready? No. If you consume open source software, if you don't have like an agreement with a vendor, you're supposed to understand what you're consuming. And maybe we should write a page somewhere explaining security aspects. But honestly, if I was an operator, I would be more interested in things like, I don't know, which ports are exposed, which protocols are spoken, which network exposed software is used, you know, all this attack surfaces, rather than, okay, it may have an old version of readline, which has a local root escalation, but it's absolutely relevant for you because you don't care about local root escalations and we don't use readline. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can I add one point? Maybe we are mixing different things together. Now, what you mentioned so far, it's a security aspect strictly related to the static analysis. So typically, this can be done with any kind of scanner. It could be a step in the supply chain that could even gate the promotion of an image to the target repository if some of the static analysis rules are broken. And it depends on how the static analyzer has been implemented, even though there are some international standards for that, like the CV. So I think that maybe we should mention not production. I don't even like the term the production already. You know, this is a security aspect on how this specific part of the static analysis is performed in terms of the Metal3 project. So I think it's fair to say that right now we don't have any process that takes care of the static analysis in terms of security, and that's it.
I see. That is a very good point. All of this that you mentioned, it clears up a lot of things for me going forward with these security things. Yeah, and for me, I think that's perfectly like a good way to do it. So under like the security parts of our book, we mentioned that's where we scan, what scanners and tests we run related to security, but these are the limits that we have, and that's all. Like as we just mentioned, that there is nobody running around checking these daily and downgrading, upgrading based on the report. Yeah, okay, thank you. And that, for me, at least, that was a very good discussion. I understand now, like, how should we like handle this aspect? Yeah. Okay, thank you. I won't take more of your time. Do you have any suggestions, problems, improvements, questions, anything related to meeting? If not, then thank you all for your attendance, and we will see each other next week. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Adam.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
Cheers.
Have a nice day.
Cheers, folks.
Bye.